How many fake IDs snuck into dealerships last week trying to pull off car buyer identity scams? Vehicles are being stolen across the country, and car dealers need to be able to run their businesses, and they're looking for real solutions. Good news. Todd Smith and Maarten Sundman of Qore AI are here to answer our questions. So this is where you can make new friends, grow your network, and learn from the best on ATI Auto Business. What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business, automotive ecosystem, where everyone learns more about the automotive industry. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Let's get started with some top industry news and headlines that include judge orders CDK to comply, flood damaged cars update, plus new loans and stolen vehicles. At the quarter hour, we got Todd Smith. He's the CEO of Qore AI. Plus Maarten Sundman, the CTO of Qore AI. This is an AI show focused on dealer solutions in the intersection of fraud and identity theft. So this is going to be a really good show. Glad you're here. Hello, YouTube. Hello, LinkedIn. Feel free to share the show and jump in the live chat. I know most people watch on demand. It looks like we're at about maybe like, well, if I said 1/3 live, 2/3 on demand, I think it's more like a quarter live, 75% on demand, could be 20% live. Okay. It's show 367 in a row on a Tuesday night. Qore AI Dealership OS with Todd Smith. How can dealerships protect the car buying experience against the use of AI-generated fake IDs? Ooh, right, because with AI comes more chance for fraud. I say know your ecosystem, new, used, auction, logistics, remarketing, recon, compliance, and tech. It's a big ecosystem, and we look at it week after week. We move around the different quadrants. Tonight we have Todd Smith of Qore AI. I promise you are in for some new information, and that is the goal here on ATI. I saw Todd gave this webinar. I'm going to reference it tonight. This was a good webinar. I was engaged. It got me thinking. It got me learning. And also, it had commercial prospects to it. I like all those things. Maarten Sundman is also here. He's the CTO of Qore AI. Again, we're talking about advanced identity verification for dealerships as well as AI conversation. And maybe we get a chance to talk more about how their business works. This is a deep learning era graph, and it gets pretty crazy fast. Just for reference, so 10 years ago, yes, there was AI in the works, but really it's been lately where it's gone crazy, and that's what we're going to keep talking about tonight. Yeah, I do the AI takeover on ATI on Tuesday nights, not every Tuesday night, kind of monthly, 6-week, 8-weekly-ish, and it's tonight. Also, just a reminder that we're going to be at Used Car Week next month. Lenders moving repo cars, old habits die hard. That is going to be a great presentation. Feel free to talk about it and let your friends know and get to Used Car Week. ATI is the ecosystem's neutral zone. Everything is welcome here. Good news, bad news, tech news, legal news. So, Jay, what happened to your hair? Well, there was a chemical accident, and it's hard to explain, but you should see the other guy, Joker, in theaters now. Tuesday nights is the automotive ecosystem. Join me every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central. Last Tuesday was Sub's Family Repo Business. Great show. Looking to continue talking about legacy and remarketing and the repossession industry. On Thursdays, Industry Logistics is at noon, and this week we've got Vendor Flow talking about connecting mobile app messaging. This is going to be a great show too. So great stuff happening here. Excited about it. Let's do a drum roll. Let's do some automotive ecosystem news. Great, it's only 5 after. So the judge has instructed CDK to transfer Asbury data to Tekion as part of its pilot program. If you recall, Asbury and CDK were locked in a legal fight over data control ahead of a Tekion pilot. Asbury said CDK was holding its data hostage. CDK says Asbury needs to enter its DMS transition stage for the access. Well, I sniffed it out. I mean, I could tell. That doesn't sound right to me. The dealer group announced the entry of a court order directing CDK to provide data for the 4 Asbury dealerships to Tekion. Nice try, CDK, but that's going to be a no. We're pleased we can proceed with the pilot program despite the roadblocks raised by CDK. Not a good look. Sorry, guys. We are free to test business products that make the car buying and service experience better, says Asbury. Hey, Stellantis has filed 8 more lawsuits to block a UAW strike. The automaker suing the UAW and 24 of its local chapters around the U.S. Really? Stellantis says the UAW has proposed reviving the Jobs Bank, a defunct benefit that would continue paying laid-off employees, and has filed 9 lawsuits against the union over its threats to strike, saying a strike would amount to a breach of contract. Guys, we talked about this. Well, maybe we didn't talk about this, but it's not good. The lawsuits mark the latest chapter in the escalating conflict between Stellantis and the union since they reached a new labor contract last fall. Or did they? Stellantis is in the midst of a global cost-cutting effort as it transitions to building EVs that are costlier to produce than gasoline models. Oh, you can't share that. No, they're not going to like that. No. Port strikes. Oh, the port strikes didn't happen. All that speculation. But we'll at least mention, let's see, tentative agreement for a wage hike of around 62% was reached. Wow, that's big. Okay, this could have been big. Well, it is big. The auto industry avoided months of potential supply chain bottlenecks and backlogs. It was just a 3-day strike. Dock workers returned August 4th, impacting 36 ports from Maine to Texas, 45,000 port workers. I mean, this is a pretty big deal. In fact, if you look at the graph of the ports, that got my attention. I mean, that's all the ports then. Okay. Yeah, on the Atlantic Ocean side, which is bigger than the Pacific side. All right. Cool. So, damage and insurance losses from Hurricane Helene could cost billions. I think we're all seeing this. Insurance losses are expected to reach roughly over $6 billion, and insurance providers may reevaluate how they price policies and what types of coverage they offer. Could affect dealers, which typically hold a higher level of expensive assets than homeowners. Helene might cause insurance companies to seek further storm-proofing of a dealership property to protect vehicle inventory. Millions of dollars of cars sitting in the lot. Not sure how you protect all that. I think we saw there was a dealer, in Florida that got wiped out. And here Carfax is talking about 89,000 cars damaged by summer floods. That's just the summer floods. That's just so far. I don't know what the total number is going to be for the year. But you can go to Carfax.com and get a free flood check. Put in your VIN number, your email address. That's going to be a good idea. You're welcome, Carfax. GEICO is terminating insurance coverage of Tesla Cybertruck, saying this type of vehicle doesn't meet our underwriting guidelines. What? GEICO, the second largest vehicle insurance underwriter in the U.S., no longer cover Tesla Cybertrucks. Really? This was a letter to a potential insurer. We'd like to thank you for choosing GEICO. After a review of our records, we determined you're unable to continue your coverage of the 2024 Tesla Cybertruck. We're unable to insure it because it doesn't meet underwriting guidelines. We are able to continue cover other vehicles, though, just not the Cybertruck. And Tesla stock slipped after the EV maker missed estimates on deliveries. These are hard to follow. I realize that, but okay, so you got that. Can't underwrite the Cybertruck, missing deadlines on deliveries. And he's still going crazy on stage. Why? I don't know. Rivian cuts production forecast amid parts shortage and cooling EV demand. Nope, you can't report that. Nissan recalls nearly 24,000 Leaf EVs due to fire risk during TV. Nope, you can't report that. Nope, didn't happen. Toyota pushes back EV production plans in America. Can't do that one either. F&I data, new vehicle loans longer in Q3, 18% span 84 months. The average Q3 new vehicle loan, 68.8 months, had monthly payments of $736 for... What? The average new vehicle loan during the third quarter, and nearly 1 in 5 of those loans saw the buyer committing to 7 years of car payments. It's now a house car. 18% of all third quarter new vehicle loans carried terms of 84 months. The 84-month house car loan, that's a joke, trend this year presents a potential negative equity, not a joke, issue for dealers and consumers. Longer loan terms might make monthly payments more palatable for consumers, but the reality is most Americans don't want to keep their vehicle for 7 years, and now you're greater at risk of rolling negative equity into your next auto loan. Wow, that blows. But at least Carvana's got a great milestone, 4 million cars bought and sold. Okay, cool. Man uses stolen IDs to acquire $620,000 in vehicles. Just checking. Okay. From dealers in Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan, and later selling them on Facebook Marketplace. The guy's scheme would allegedly involve applying for financing through dealerships, then having the vehicles delivered to him at hospitals where he stated he worked as a nurse. Then he would meet the delivery driver in the hospital parking lot, sign the purchasing paperwork, and leave with the newly purchased vehicle. Within days of acquiring vehicles, would use Facebook Marketplace to resell them using a fraudulent Arkansas title listing, different names and vehicles bearing the same control number. And scam. So, I'm going to do another What Are You Talking About? This is called You're Not a Rockstar. I am sorry to break the bad news to you, but you're not a rock star. I mean, you might be, but it's not likely. And it's not because you said you are, or because I said you are, or some lame video rock star said you are. It's because you proved it through time, experience, probably some pain, and you might have to continue to prove it over and over and over again. So if you're a podcaster, I'm going to ask you, what's your podcast about? Because if it's really about you getting famous, but you're saying it's about cars or leadership or something, if it's really all about you and you're just having guests on to hide the fact that it's all about you and your private club buddies, and you're telling your guests they're rock stars, there is something wrong with your idea. I think people know it. I mean, they're saying it's great, and they tell you you're a rock star, and that just makes your show worse. And those rock stars know it. So why are you doing that? What was your show originally supposed to be about? Let's go back to that. Think of the classroom, the teachers at the chalkboard. After introducing themselves, they begin teaching something. They're not teaching a class about being a great teacher. They're not teaching a class about how everybody's a rock star, or it's not about kittens or the weather, inside jokes, or what you ate last night. That's not teaching. That's not a show. And even Lady Gaga, who is a rock star, if that was her show, that would suck too. A teacher shares something interesting, featuring engaging new information. Try that. And it's quite possible your guest has something to say. But you keep talking on and on about nothing and rock stars and yourself. So don't you think your guest is wondering what's going on? What if the people that have been giving you likes begin to wonder this too? And they're just being nice because they want your business. But they're kind of wondering, like everybody else, does anybody actually watch your stuff? Because you made this show about you, and you're not a rock star. You're not a genius. And in the event you don't have any guests, teach us something. Share some facts, a process, a proven idea, something based on shared reality. I know nobody's going to say this to you. That's why I'm doing it. I've made hundreds of shows. I'm clearly not a rock star. I'm not a genius. But I can tell you that I know people are wondering what you're doing and why you continue to do it. And they're not surprised you've lost momentum. With all the TikToks and self-made rock star geniuses out there now, everybody's wondering, are they making money? How do I get started on my own podcast? And why is media so attractive to everyone and yet hated by the masses? Nobody wants to be a snowflake, and everyone wants to be a rock star. So if you're going to become a podcaster or a snowflake or a rock star, remember, what's your show about? Focus on that. Focus on your guests. Focus on information. And stop making this bullshit. ATI is where everyone learns more about how the automotive industry works. This is a large ecosystem. I clearly have a lot to say, and I'm going to keep doing it because you know what? I don't ship cars. I move information. I've got some serious information to move. Please do get the podcast. Let me know what you think. Send me an email. Go to ATI Auto Business. Click Contact Us. You can keep it anonymous. You can email me, autotransportintel@gmail.com. By gosh golly, though, we're going to have a show tonight, and we're going to make a meaningful show every week. Actually, 2 of them every week. So that's the deal. Do me a favor, stick around. Right after this, we're going to be live with Todd Smith. We'll be right back.
Transport Auto Quoter is by far the leading auto quoting software on the market, and the only auto quoter with a pro version that comes preset with accurate pricing for anywhere in the U.S. So you don't have to worry about it. The best part is that no change with your current software is needed. Just plug TAQ in and start booking jobs. Carriers can easily plug TAQ into their current websites and start making money right away. I bet you're wondering how we do this instantly and accurately 24/7. Well, constant analytics is the key. Our PriceWatch team is constantly monitoring current market conditions, paying close attention to seasonal and quick-moving industry changes. At the end of the day, it takes a lot of time and data to maintain good pricing, time that most of us just don't have on a daily basis. So free yourself up. Using TAQ Pro is really a no-brainer. Save time and money, maximizing your leads and optimizing your online investments. You'll finally be able to sleep well at night knowing that TAQ is on the job selling for you 24/7. Never missing a potential job.
All right, we need to brainstorm for this commercial. How do we show our audience that we're the best auto transport platform in the industry?
Oh, we need to show them our dispatch manager. Optimizing routes has never been easier.
We should definitely show them our EDI management screen. Managing contracts is simple with ClearPath's EDI toolkit. Who doesn't want to work with the big manufacturers?
These are all great ideas, but we need to highlight what makes us special.
Sure, we can talk about all our awesome features, but the bottom line is we invest in every single one of our clients, giving them the power to scale up and increase their revenue.
That's perfect.
Auto Hauler Exchange has revolutionized the way vehicle haulers and vehicle shippers collaborate. The Exchange B2B marketplace connects vehicle haulers directly to shippers in a frictionless manner. The Exchange helps vehicle haulers maximize their capacity while eliminating empty miles. The Exchange is the first true B2B marketplace of its kind in the vehicle logistics industry. By connecting carriers and shippers directly, carriers can save time and choose which opportunities fit their needs each day. At the same time, shippers can rest assured that their vehicles are being moved by qualified, vetted carriers who fit their vetting program. The Auto Hauler Exchange has democratized the vehicle logistics industry by eliminating the middlemen and connecting shippers directly to available carriers.
Why does a broker get a percentage of every load you move when clearly you could be working directly with carriers? Go around the broker. Get faster car shipping. Visit autohaulerexchange.com. Links are in the live chat. All right, here we go. Please do help me wish a very warm welcome to my guest. Todd Smith is the CEO of Qore AI. Todd, can you see me and hear me okay?
Yeah, I can see you and hear you and doing good.
All right, great. I can see you. I can hear you. Todd, thank you so much. Please say hello and tell us a little bit more about you.
Great. My name's Todd Smith. I am the CEO of Qore AI. I'm a lifelong student of the automotive industry. I started selling cars in 1990. Worked through dealerships, worked on the technology side as well. So I just always a student of the game and love the opportunity to be and spend some time with you and talk about identity and AI and all the things that are impacting our industry.
I want to learn more about your business. I want to talk about AI. I don't know where to start. I did catch your webinar. Was that a week and a half ago?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was like 2 weeks ago now. I think so. In my blurry mind, I know we put that one out about identity. It was really well attended. We had I think well over like 200 people from LinkedIn sign up for that. So we were super excited that people are interested in learning about stopping fraud at their store. So
See, and that is a well-attended webinar, and it was a good webinar.
yeah, I appreciate that.
Right.
It was my team. My team put that one together. And it was also great to have an exciting, what I call like guest with me, which was Brian Epro from Equifax. He's also super knowledgeable about data and about, identity. And they always bring for us, really valuable insights that are just happening in the general credit and fraud market. So, you get even beyond just looking at what's happening in specifically automotive to really understand the latest technology being used by fraudsters to defraud any type of business that are already being applied to the automotive industry. So,
fraud as a topic, it's one of those topics. It's kind of a snooze until you're in it, right?
Listen, I just got off the phone earlier today with a good friend of mine who's a dealer, and he's like, "Todd, you're selling insurance," and I was like, "But." He's like, "It's insurance." And he goes, "Dealers, we don't like to pay for insurance." And I was like, "Yes, but, the ramifications of not doing it." And it's funny because many dealers I talk to say the same thing. They're like, we'll deal with it when it happens. But, when those happen, times cost you $70,000, $500,000. It's one of those times you wish you had the flood insurance, right? For your property. And, I look at it as, it's a little bit of cost added into your process, but one, it eliminates fraud. But I think two, one of the things I always try to point out is what we've been able to do is collect really good data from the customer. So we not only do driver's license, that's a piece of it. We also verify their device that's in their hand, their phone, through their carrier. And their carrier returns to us their legal name, obviously verifies the phone number, gives us the home address. We auto push that into the CRM. So to me, no matter what, you're getting better data that you can use downstream for better marketing or retargeting later if that customer doesn't buy. So yes, it's obviously considered insurance, to a degree, but I think there's a more valuable piece of clean data going into your systems equals more efficient marketing going out.
So rather than saying, we're going to do a show about digital insurance, I didn't do that. I talked about fake IDs. And what you just said about verifying devices, I hadn't heard that before. That got my attention too.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you start peeling back fraud and how fraud happens. And driver's licenses are pretty easy to fraudulently produce today. The technology's there. Understanding, the makeup of a physical driver's license is pretty easy. Being able to copy fonts, holograms, all that is possible today. I mean, they clone currency, so of course they're going to be able to clone a driver's license. So we said, we get it. Everyone has to have a driver's license. It has to be part of the process. But we looked around for other opportunities to ID the customer. And we landed in a couple places. The first place we landed was honestly up front, the browser. So looking at the browser the customer is accessing from. So if they're remote, we're right through messaging, we're looking at that browser. Is it a known fraudulent ISP? Because they are tracked. Is it coming incognito from overseas? Or so we get to see about 200 attributes around the browser. So we fingerprint that, and we're looking at that first. So we think that was a good first step, but then we wanted something else. And we really looked around and we said, well, what is some super hard to fake? And it's the device in your hand, because your device, like my device, has longevity. Your family's devices, they swap phones, but it's the same phone number. Like I've had this same phone number now for 25 years. So with that longevity comes validation. And, by partnering with the carriers, we can see that longevity. And look, we can resolve things like if you're a fraudulent person, most likely you're coming in on a burner phone, you're coming in on a recently swapped SIM card, you're coming in to present as little information to validate as possible to buy the car. And for us, this is a good way to stop fraud right up front, because a fraudster is not going to give their actual device with any history attached to it. So you're going to get that burner clone cell phone right up front.
And what's interesting, okay, right, browser, so not only am I paying more attention to AI, but I'm also paying more attention to fraud. And it just so happens, I got a phone call today from somebody that said, Jay, drop everything. You got to do a show about fraud in logistics. This guy works at an auto transport broker, which helps arrange for the movement of freight. And that's their business. And what's happening is somehow fraudsters are getting a hold of vehicle information while it's still on the truck, getting a hold of the driver and saying, oh, hey, there's been a change in delivery location.
Yeah.
Or they're contacting right there. It's now, I guess it's really happening a lot.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I see, well, if we step outside, and look, where AI has been very impactful is cloning your voice. So you only need about 15 seconds, Jay, of your voice. I can clone it to you. So think about this. If I called the owner of a transport company and I talked to him for 10 or 15 minutes, I now have have a lot of data for his voice print. Now I get a hold of his driver. I call his driver and say, hey, I'm changing, send that car and drop the load here in this parking lot, leave the keys in it. You'd do it. You wouldn't know any better. And I think this could even happen at the retail level at a dealership where, fraudster clones the general manager or owner's voice, calls a salesperson, says, hey, go get that 2025 High Country Silverado that's out front on the lift, stock number 2175, and I want you to take it down to my dentist's office at 12 Main Street. He's super busy today. Leave it out front and put the keys under the mat and put a demo tag on the back, and then just come back to the store. He's going to bring it back after work tonight. And I bet you a high percentage of salespeople would actually do that because they were just told on a voicemail from their boss. And that's that's actually easy in today's world. Easy.
Okay, so is the hard part then intercepting the communication with the right timing? Is that hard? Or no?
No. I mean, look, if they phish their email, they can get access to all kinds of data at that point. Transport logs. I mean, they could just watch.
Okay. So I'm sorry. Would this then explain why we get all these random phishing text,
that's
email?
why. Yeah, all that email you're getting, it is on purpose to get you to click. And once you click, then it can start.
Then they search for the opportunity.
Away.
Is that what they do then?
Yeah. And then you might not even know.
And then they socially engineer a scenario.
Oh yeah. You can ask. I mean, Maarten, when he comes on, that's a very been a popular thing, right? Obviously, even with the CDK hack, all of a sudden they're getting emails from what looks like CDK saying, "Hey, I'm here to support you. Give us a call and let us go ahead and help you with your systems and stuff." And that was all fraud. And it's that whole side. Like I just saw one. I thought it was fascinating. I'm a Fidelity customer, and with Fidelity, or any bank you deal with, you get that call or you get a text that says, "Hey, we see a fraudulent charge. Is this you? Yes or no?" And Amex does that. Everyone does it. So this lady got one that says, "Hey, is this charge? We think it's fraud. Is it fraudulent?" And she said yes. And it said, hit this thing and call this number.
That was fraud.
It was fraud. And then from that, They said, hey, we're sending you a one-time code. That allowed them to unlock her account, and it stripped all her money. And it's crazy because Fidelity is not liable for that because she gave up her information. And ultimately, when they compared the fraudulent text stream to the real text stream of Fidelity, it was identical. So the thing I always say is whenever you get that, don't do anything. Go to the website, call the 800 number on the actual website. Don't click any links. Go to the actual website, call the business directly, because you don't know anymore.
So, so let's say you get, and we're going to bring in, I'll tell you what, I'm going to add Maarten while we're talking about this. Maarten, you are now being added. I didn't give you any warning at all. Maarten is now being added. We are fishing for Maarten. So, I guess if you, let's say you get a weird call from your boss, hang up and call your boss, right?
Yeah, like fraudulent. If you think about it, I got a weird call, and let's say it was a voicemail left, and you look, the number didn't match anything, and then you're like, yeah, you don't. It's weird. You almost, Maarten, you're hopping in like we were living in a world you can't trust anything.
Is that Maarten? Is that
so.
Really you?
Yeah, that's me.
All right, let's do this. Maarten, please say hello and tell us a little bit more about you.
Hello. So I'm a technology geek. I've been building software and products for longer than I want to admit to. And always like trying to tackle interesting, challenging problems. So in the automotive space, a lot of the technology has always felt really stagnant. But Todd, with all of his background and interest in tech, always comes with amazing, innovative ideas, and I get excited for him and have to go build them.
Awesome. Okay.
This is why Maarten and I are like two peas in a pod. So.
Well, all right. So I kind of want to hand it over to you in that. Okay. Maarten, we're talking about phishing, scamming, fraud, identity theft. We talked about IDs. What I was going to say is the browser thing. That's where, as I learned more about AI and then identity theft, I didn't know that you could track a browser.
Oh yeah.
Is that? Or we?
Oh yeah.
For both beneficial reasons and non-beneficial reasons. All of the tracking that marketers use, that can be oftentimes brought back to your real name, your address, your contact details, everybody you know.
And that's what I guess I meant. I mean, I know that a browser is a thing, but I didn't know a browser could lead back to you just through your browser.
Absolutely.
Because of different data.
Well, think about
all
your
the
browser.
data associated with your activity online. And it's all very easily tracked, and there's a huge marketplace for it, both for the ad tech and martech space, but also for people looking for targets for social engineering and phishing.
And think of your browser also, like all your plugin extensions, your screen resolution, your browser, believe it or not, just in general terms, is a 270,000 people have that exact browser configuration. So instantly they take the world population,
like DNA,
knock it down to 1.25 million, and then by geolocating and doing additional things, they can refine it down to your house.
Yep. Followed by all the things like Google ad tracking and Facebook pixels, which then immediately brings you back to your social networking, your private email, or your work email, and suddenly it's not private at all anymore.
And so, in a way, getting back to Qore AI solution, this is a way to, in real time, verify someone's identity, because you can't be intrusive, you can't take blood.
Yep.
Right? But it has to be real time, it has to be scientific, because the point of which is, once they're verified, you can move forward in a legitimate transaction.
Absolutely. And you also can't slow down the transaction speed either. If you're a salesperson, you're wanting to get that customer to the next step as quickly as possible. You almost don't want to even spend the time to think about, is this customer potentially fraudulent or untrustworthy? You want to have it where it's as frictionless as possible to get them to the next step. So trying to balance both of those kinds of extremes of how do you protect the dealership, the customer, and the lending institution if they finance their car, while not slowing down the purchase process enough that it causes customer frustration and sales frustration. And that's been a balancing act that we've tackled by having it where we try and make it so that there's as few points of contact required in order to go ahead and do that kind of trusted verification. So Todd mentioned having it where we're able to tie you back to your mobile device. That for that entire process, it requires you putting in your phone number once, and you get a code saying you're okay with sharing it. It is faster to go through that verification process than it is to log into most systems. And then for our identity verification process, it's a very simple 3-step front-back selfie. And then behind the scenes, we work our magic. We don't require the customer to be interactive anymore to make sure that we are as unintrusive as possible.
Right, and then I suppose a great sales strategy is just look for the next dealership that's been defrauded and knock on the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then conversely, as a consumer, I'd probably be more comfortable with a dealership that's trying to protect my information from identity theft too.
That's
yeah,
right.
so if you think about it, Jay, it's not just stopping fraud from the dealer side, right? It's also protecting the consumer's information, because if someone had synthetically grabbed someone's ID and is now applying and buying a car, there's a real consumer that's going to be hurt at the end of that. And stopping that protects the actual consumer. So that's one thing. The other thing is obviously it does protect the dealership. But I think also the whole concept for us was, to create a transparent process for both sides. That they could do it from home, they could do it at the dealership, it's the same experience, and it's just a dynamic, easy, fluid experience for the consumer to kind of onboard themselves. And that's the other probably key piece of what our focus has been around identity, is we do not want anyone at the dealership to touch the consumer's PII, meaning their physical driver's license or their insurance card or a copy of their W-2. We want the consumer to be able to always stay in possession and control, take the necessary pictures, securely transport that through our secured messaging. All that data is encrypted and lands back in the dealership in an encrypted state. So we found that, and again, it's pretty interesting statistic, but 60% of all fraud starts internally. So, I think there was just one recently where the salesperson was selling pictures of the driver's license to the black market, and they're worth a few $100s a piece. Another one, they were taking copies of the credit apps, getting all that data, selling that. So, I think we want to help the dealer eliminate any of that temptation by just removing it completely from the process.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting because then you brought up that's compliance regulations. Is that the CFPB? Or is that a different organization where dealerships can get in trouble for breaches of customer sensitive data?
Yeah, so in the U.S. it'd be FTC. So
FTC, thank you.
It's an FTC thing here. Yeah.
But meaning that's another growing danger as we move forward, is that apparently, because I was on a show recently, that it is getting easier for dealers to inadvertently cause a breach within these new guidelines, just by making a copy of a driver's license.
Yeah, think about it. For us, everything stays digital, right? So that means everything stays encrypted, everything's staying secure. But if you go and photocopy a driver's license and now leave it on a desk, you've kind of taken your, let's say, personal identifiable information out of the vault, and you just left it on the table for anyone to walk by and take. Same with a credit application or a copy of a W-2, or copy of your home, proof for roof. So, a cable bill or electric bill. So we're constantly thinking that, the less less dealerships have to touch this type of data, the better, because the fines are enormous.
I would say, and that's where, like, I think, okay, go ahead and do your taxes or anything like that. Go ahead and pay your bills, and then get a phone call, and you suddenly have to do business. What's sitting on your desk? All your documents.
All the docs.
And that can happen any day at a dealership, I would think.
Yeah, or, they have a file on their desk, and that has a copy of a driver's license, a credit report, maybe some type of stipulation. It's in a vanilla envelope on the desk, and the sales guy goes to the restroom. Sales guy goes to get a cup of coffee. Sales guy runs outside to check on a car. Sales guy walks into a meeting. There's a multitude of vulnerabilities, and our thinking was always just eliminate that and remove the opportunity of fraud by ensuring the consumer stays in control of their own data through this piece of the process.
We may need to rope you into some of this logistics stolen vehicle stuff. I'll keep your number handy. Okay, the dawn of intelligence.
Yes.
What's going on?
Well, I feel like, and Maarten will have his thoughts on this as well. I feel like in 2022, I think AI came alive. And I think we saw just the birth of what's possible with chat GPTs, autonomous agents. I think we've seen such a crazy acceleration in these types of technologies that are enable us to kind of rethink how data is captured, organized, and then not only consumed, but then presented. So, I obviously I'm an old person. I come from a world where, dealership data, we had reports out of the DMS. I had my daily doc out of my DMS. I had my CRM reports, and I had all these reports, and I had to kind of figure things out for myself, crossing systems, and kind of a nightmare. And I think many dealers continue to do that. And everything I looked at was reactive, meaning it already happened. So I was looking into the past. And now I think we're entering a time where things are going to be very predictive on what is going to happen in our future, because AI has amazing capabilities around taking not only all this large data, but then also, for what I look at, is random pattern matching and being able to see things with inside the data that we just can't correlate very well as people. And I see a very near future where, predicting that, and we're already working at Qore on a path that we can predict when consumers are going to buy. We can predict their affordability range. We can predict most likely what vehicle they will buy because of the cohort they live in, meaning the segment, who they are, how old they are, all of those indicators, and there's thousands of them. When you combine them and run them on machine learning, it gives you a very accurate insight into this person's mostly going to buy a eco-friendly, high-end, probably hybrid car, Lexus, Mercedes, in the $75,000 to $85,000 range, and it's going to happen within the next 10 to 18 days. And we see that as the future, helping dealers to kind of sift through and prioritize things where, let's say, Jay, a dealership gets, 1,000 leads a month. How do you attack 1,000 leads with the same energy when only 200 of them maybe are actually in market to buy? Other ones had gone through lead traps, or, they wanted to get to the e-price, so they put in their information, or they're just trying to get information and kick tires. They're nowhere near ready to buy. Yet we attack them with all the same energy of like, hey, when are you coming in? And that's not the best path. And AI is going to unlock our ability to focus on the right people at the right time while not forgetting the other people in the process. And I think that's the system of intelligence. That's where we're going today. And Maarten, I feel you could probably add way more like concrete data to that. So.
Yep.
Wow. Maarten.
But adding on to your part first, Todd, we're also at this weird spot, not just on data AI, but with data, where the tools for interacting with data are easier to use than ever. But historically, you need to have a data scientist on the team in order to go understand it. There's just too much for a human to go do. So what we've been working on is making it so that all of that information is now human accessible in an intuitive way. Taking something that makes no sense when you're just looking at it in a giant spreadsheet like we're used to, and being able to do things that are much more intuitive. I want to automatically retarget advertising to all my web visitors who are potential customers. Maybe they went to the service page and didn't finish booking an appointment. Well, maybe we should go reach out to them in some avenue, whether that's social or email campaigns. Finding out who those people are today has traditionally been very, very difficult, but we now have tools to go do that. And the way that we're doing it is by democratization of data, which some other industries have. But as you saw at the beginning, as you were reading about at the beginning of this session, it's very, very difficult to do in the automotive industry, with CDK holding different dealer groups almost hostage, it feels like. And that's not a unique story. So our approach for tackling this has been, it's the dealership's data. They own it. We're just an extra interpretive layer on top of it. Do with it what you want. We're going to just make it so much easier to go ahead and tie all of this disparate data across the organization together and be able to interact with it in a way that's intuitive and enables sales agents, managers, and dealer groups to go ahead and go after customers in a much more tactical way. So getting more result for less effort.
Yeah, and I think both Maarten and I are tired of Excel filters, pivot tables, trying to use like BI or Tableau and the costs of those systems. I think a world is going to unlock around data when it's organized on these LLMs where, think about like, okay, show me all my cars over 60 days. Now target, look inside my database for any in-market customer that matches my overaged cars and match them and now send them and target them. Whether it's a direct mail piece, whether it's an email, whether it's pushed to the BDC for a call, or whether it's retargeted socially. So we just see a different world that's being unlocked right now. And our goal is to be at the center of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the hard part to get on this is, okay, we understand calculators and computers. And we know that garbage in, garbage out. But who put the garbage in? I did.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I got the garbage out. But we're talking about systems where it's like an organism. That somehow you're going to feed an organism stuff, and then it's like a human being, except a super speedy human being.
Yep.
Intelligently tell me something in a way, in a speed that I couldn't have done. It's a superhero. How does that work?
It's not a superhero, but it's definitely a co-pilot assistant. So with one dealer group we've been testing this out on, we got a lot of information from their systems and found out that roughly half of the information that they had was no longer real customers. A lot of them were fake data going to spam accounts. People had changed their email address. It just wasn't valid data. So by having it people die was another one that came up. So by going through stringent cleaning mechanisms, by verifying information in the same way that we go ahead and verify customers for the anti-fraud protection, we're able to quickly distill all of that garbage in to the parts of it that are usable data. And connect it up to even more information, like Todd mentioned, around the likelihood that they're going to buy. Which vehicles are they likely to buy? So not only distilling out the garbage in, but also being able to polish it up into something that's much more useful.
And so a co-pilot, that is the terminology.
That's very common terminology for these kinds
I've seen
of tools.
it, right? Microsoft,
Yep.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they're bringing back, what was it, Clippy? What was the Clip?
It's basically Clippy, but with new...
With a neural engine.
Icon.
Yeah, it's Clippy with a neural engine, right?
Yep.
We look at it as Maarten said, it's really, the first goal of this was clean data and make a data set for the dealer that's what's called evergreen. It's constantly being changed, updated, run against postal address, email updates, because just email alone inside a DMS or CRM decays at 2.5% per month. So you think about that, your list in 1 year, only 70% of the email addresses in it are now deliverable. So, and dealers aren't cleaning it that often, and they'll do it once, or they'll hire a marketing company to do it, and they usually don't even get the data back. So we think a better world exists where the dealer actually owns the data into center of this, and our neural engine runs on top. We're constantly evergreening the data, and then they can obviously start querying their information and send it to whatever other tools they want to use. So I think it's a slightly different take on what's out there. And again, as Maarten said, democratizing the data for the dealer in a way that they truly are the not only owner, but manager of their future. Because for AI to work, it needs time to learn on your data, understand it, make decisions, and you correct it. And you can't just instantly make that happen. It has to happen over time. That's why I look at dealers today, dealers who are not leveraging AI, they are going to be behind the ones that do. Because it's like you both enter a river at different times. You never catch the first person in the river. Because AI will have to learn. It has to figure out how your customers interact with your dealership. It has to understand your data and how your business operates. And all those things take a little bit of time.
That's good. So in a sense, then Qore AI, you are introducing you said neural system, a co-pilot, a system, an AI into your client that they will help turn into the future mechanism through which they will interact with consumers for sales and other. I'm trying to choose my words wisely, because this isn't a software that you're hooking something up with, right?
Right.
No. Yeah. So think of this as it's a cloud we built. It's called Qore Cloud, right? We onboard the data into the cloud, no different than a dealer would put his data into AWS.